the new guy is about to hit the 100-day mark with the lowest approval rating of any president in the last 72 years, but 96% of the people who voted for him are sticking with him. They like what he's doing. What are they seeing that other people are not?
I talked to a lot of people around the country, and my family. You know, my dad voted for Donald Trump. It wasn't his favorite candidate, but he voted for him. I have a lot of family members that, when they speak to it, they speak about, first, the Supreme Court. Neil Gorsuch was big for them. A lot of them didn't like Trump, but felt that they needed a representative of constitutional values on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, but why are they giving Trump credit for that? That should go to Mitch McConnell, who changed the rules in the Senate and forced him in.
But it goes to the Trump, because if Hillary had won, we probably wouldn't be looking at Gorsuch. So
no,
they
we'd have that other guy
the
who
Trump
was perfectly
presidency
capable.
to Gorsuch. They talk about
Merrick Garland.
Right. Well, that's true. The Keystone Pipeline is important. Removing blockage for the Keystone Pipeline. They talk about national security, for example. Strong action in Syria. We drew that red line a long time ago, didn't act on it. Trump acted on it. This bomb in Afghanistan that sends a message to terrorists and takes out underground terrorist havens, mother of all bombs. They see strong national security. They see a commitment to border security. For example, hiring more Border Patrol agents on the border, reinforcing the support that the Border Patrol agents have. This wall is a whole other conversation about who's going to pay for it, but a commitment to border security when you have drugs and gangs and women who are coming across the border and being sexually assaulted as they come through, putting a stop to all of that. Those are just a few of the things I hear. And what they're waiting on is health care reform and tax reform, which is huge.
I spent this weekend in Dallas interviewing a pastor at a mega church and many of the congregants, and they completely agree. I asked them to score Donald Trump's first 100 days, A-. And it was sort of interesting to me because I said, how do you square your Christian values with this person who has been so divisive? His rhetoric has been just vulgar. He's talking about grabbing women by the genitals. And I was basically told I voted for platform rather than person. And these were kind, gracious, lovely people. These weren't like lunatics.
So these are not the ones that they now say a lot of the Trump voters voted because of racism.
No, this was one of the most diverse churches I have ever seen.
So that's not this group.
No.
Yeah. Also, overregulation. People feel that
the
EPA...
This EPA stuff, none of those people, I'm sure, could name any of those things that have come into being or tell you why they came into being.
I asked
Part of the problem that we have had with companies is that they didn't do what needed to be done for the people who are working there. Now, people keep saying, he's bringing back coal. What is coal doing? Why, they voted for him.
Just on that point, it's more an argument I hear about waste and fraud and abuse in government bureaucracy.
And regulation. That's what I heard this weekend.
Meaning that it's taxpayer money that's often going to things. Not that they don't care about the environment. I think there's a misconception that Trump voters don't care about the environment. They do.
But you don't understand. Here's the thing. You can't just vote on the policy. You're voting on the man and his platform. You can't pick and choose. And I'm sorry, I'm sure these are very nice people, but
lovely.
What they're voting for is a policy in America that we have fought for years not to continue.
What policy?
The policy of divisiveness.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't segregate people by their religion.
I'll be interested to see beyond the 100-day, because at this point, I think a lot of people that didn't support him still are like, do you guys not see the same thing we're looking at? And then other people, like you said,
they see
hardworking, decent people that see something else. What I'm curious about is that right now, I haven't seen things push through. I understand what you're both saying, but I'm still frustrated as all get out. And so I want to see a little longer when there's proof that either they're going to say, oh, he's not doing it, or we're going to say, wow, I was wrong.
Well, I was watching CNN this morning, and they had this tape of Trump supporters. So not all of them are on his team. So can we roll that tape? Do they have it?
Roll that beautiful.
Pull the wool over President Trump's eyes. He is not a politician, and I can reiterate what Susan's saying, where I was in the House and I sat at local levels. Although you want everything to come out just exactly perfect the way you want it, you sometimes have to compromise to get it done.
He said, okay, we're going to go on to tax reform. We're going to put health care off to the side. And we're going to go ahead and wait till Obamacare explodes, and then we'll see how they like this bill. And that, to me, did not sound like the words of a man that had the best interests of the American people at hand.
See, so there, that's
That's interesting.
Right.
I mean, I will say the other thing that I heard, and this piece is going to be on Nightline this week. What I heard from the folks in Dallas was, why judge him by 100 days? Not enough time. It's an arbitrary deadline.
Because
and
it's what we,
they don't
you know
think
what?
it's enough
That's all we
time.
have right
Listen,
now.
that's all we've got. And I have to tell you, you know, all these very nice, kind people, when you see what all of this breaks down to, when you try to figure out why kids are not getting meals in the afternoon, when you're trying to figure out why veterans who are getting themselves together with programs made by the NEA, when you see all that disappear, keep in mind, when he says he's getting rid of stuff, you need to do your homework and see exactly what he's talking
because
about.
otherwise we don't
this
want to
is
hear
not,
it.
You
Well,
know,
I think it's all-
I get it, but
I think the coverage is always on the big issues. We talk about the health care,
Yes.
which he talked about, the tax reform, the wall. But it's the little things that are frustrating
Yeah.
me. It's that rollback on when we talked about forced arbitration that bans companies from
Yeah.
keeping people silent if
Yeah.
they've been harassed at work.
Yeah.
That was a big one for me. The pesticides in the ground was a big one.
That's
So it's kind
terrible.
of like he's doing these little things while we're all looking at the big things.
Yeah,
and
no,
those
right.
are the damning
Gotta
ones.
pay
Well, he's
attention.
attacking, and making a big thing about Syria. You brought that up. I don't really see
Yeah.
what he's accomplished in
In terms of Syria, in terms of airstrikes,
I heard again this
consequences?
weekend, it's about the strength of America. They felt that
And
that
keeping your
this is-
promises.
that he kept his promises, and he showed that he not only cared about children because they were gassed, but that he showed that it's a strong America.
And so it doesn't say to them, oh, he cares about children now that he's seen he didn't see the pictures obviously before, because now he knows what the Syrian refugees are fleeing from. Is that
asked
what that means?
I asked that
What
question,
is- what they
and the
say?
response, I said, doesn't it seem hypocritical that he would bomb Syria, but the very children that are fleeing that type of violence, he won't accept in this country? And the response, that's a valid criticism. The response was, listen, we can send ministry groups over there to help them in Syria, but we have to protect our
what?
country first.
Keep in mind, our country has had fewer issues than any other country going. And that is because the promise that was kept, that was made 8 years ago, we were trying to get out of 2 wars. Everybody said, no, we can't get out of those wars. I'm sorry, this new guy is talking about, putting up a wall now that we're going to pay for. See, this is the thing. I don't like bait and switch.
Yeah.
I told you I didn't want to pay for
He
the
said
damn wall.
Mexico's paying for it.
I
Remember?
said I'm not paying for the wall.
Mexico is not paying for it.
Mexico is not paying
They
for
are
this wall.
not
No,
paying for
and
it.
they have been very clear about it. So with all this tax reform that he says he's doing this week, who's going to end up paying all of this?
Maybe Jared and Ivanka could pay for it. They've got the cash.
Well, so does he. He's the guy that didn't pay any taxes.
It's going to be
Okay,
$26
so
billion
It's not just-
to
but
build
it's not
the
ju-
wall.
The point is that people who are coming into this country are flying in. He'd have to build a wall 40,000 feet high. And they're making
don't
tunnels.
even tell him that,
Don't
because
give him ideas.
he'll start doing it.